My 23F husband, 25M, admitted that his younger brother yelled at him for how he treats me. Trigger warnings, abuse, threats of violence, parentification, love bombing moods spoiler/ending spoiler, sad and frustrating but OOP gets out background post, September 16, 2024 title, My 23F husband, 25M, told me that he's turned off by me sometimes because I act like my mom. Thoughts? So we have been married 4 years now and our intimacy life has dwindled down to once every week or two. Any sort of intimacy is included in this. We started off our marriage with almost every day and I would love to continue that, but slowly over time, he's shown less and less interest, and so now it's basically I'm convenient when he is in the mood, so I just wait around until he's ready. Honestly, I hate it. It makes the experience so much less satisfying and I am struggling with body image. I've been trying to bring it up with him, but usually he gets uncomfortable and avoids the topic, so I drop it. After a year of us only being intimate for a few times a month, I couldn't take it, so I sat him down and told him that we need to figure this out because I'm having a hard time enjoying the few sex we do have. He starts off saying he doesn't want to say it because I'd get offended, and I told him to just spit it out. So he tells me that I act like my mother, especially after I've seen her, and it turns him off. Of course, I got offended. My mother and I don't have the best relationship. Too much to go into, but I've only recently began healing from the trauma of childhood and started seeing her again. So this was like a punch to the gut. This isn't the first time he's mentioned that I act like my mother too, so I told him to never compare me to her again, but to please point out specific behaviors that he doesn't like instead. He instantly didn't want to talk about it anymore and kept telling me to drop it. I don't even know what to do about this, but I'm so hurt that he compares me to her. The only ways I've changed since we first started seeing each other is I have become more confident in myself as a woman since Eve become a mom. Otherwise I don't think I changed too much. My body changed a little, but I didn't gain weight, so I hope it's not that. Maybe you all have some thoughts on this that could help me? I really want to work on it, but he doesn't want to go to couples therapy, so I'm trying to figure out what to do here. OOP's only commenter, you probably do have some mannerisms like hers. We all pick those up. They might not even be bad, but they remind him of her. So if he tells you that he doesn't like a particular behavior, it might not even be a bad thing by itself. Why wait when you could initiate yourself? Maybe get lingerie that would in no way remind him of her because it would change the vibe you give off. OP. I have tried to initiate, but he sometimes looks visibly disgusted and gets mad if I initiate, so I stopped a while ago. It's so much more hurtful to be turned down than to wait until he's ready. Original post, September 20th, 2024, 4 days later. Title: I, 23F, stopped relying on my husband, 25M, and I think it's making things worse. Advice? I'm sure you all have heard similar stories. My husband, despite multiple discussions over the past 2 years, never takes initiative in chores or anything in our lives. I'm constantly the one reminding him and asking him to do things, and when I don't, it doesn't get done. He told me he started hating me because of it about 6 months ago, so we both had an agreement that I will stop telling him what to do as long as he starts following up with his promises. I followed up on my end of the promise, and he didn't within a few days. We agreed that since I wake up first to work out then make breakfast, he wakes up with our kid and takes her to daycare before work. After work, I pick up our kid and make dinner and manage the bedtime routine, and he cleans the kitchen while I do that. Every single day I walk out after bedtime to the kitchen not being touched. It's so disappointing and hurtful. Usually, I get upset at him and tell him that I really want the kitchen cleaned every day, and he just brushes me off saying he will do it the morning. 25% of the time he does. But since we had the agreement, I stopped. I just pretended to ignore the mess, and would get ready for bed because by then I would have to get up in 7 hours. I let him be responsible for the mess because that's what we agreed on. 2 months later, and our kitchen was always a mess. Constantly, we would have molded food on the stove, next to the sink, crumbs everywhere on the floor. So I gave up and started cleaning whenever I had time. I learned to cook and clean at the same time. Stressful with a child, but I learned. Most of the time, there were a week worth of dishes and we have no dishwasher, so it took me a long time to catch up on washing the dishes. After bedtime, usually I'd be the only one cleaning. He would be laying in bed even though I wake up 2 hours before he does. He would literally yell at me about how I let the dishes get so stinky whenever he did wash the dishes, even though he agreed that he's responsible for cleaning after dinner. So I stopped relying on him and just started taking care of everything on my own. It's been 2 months of that mindset, and I find it harder to respect him now. He seems like a child to me, always complaining about everything and never puts effort, always too tired and grumpy. Today, I was very excited because my husband brought up the idea of a movie night date. He never brings up date ideas or plans them, so it made me so hopeful. He said he would rent a movie and after bedtime we would watch it. I made a fancier dinner and put our kid down. Kid took a little longer to go down, but I was fine with it because I figured he would clean today so we can have a movie night. I was wrong. He didn't even bother to close the lids on the pans on the stove. He just turned off the lights in the kitchen. It felt like my heart broke and I cleaned the kitchen myself again. He walked out, didn't say a word and watched YouTube videos at the counter. Once I was done cleaning, we went to the bedroom and he just laid down and went to sleep. It hurts so much. I was so hopeful this time. He gets mad at me that I don't treat him like a man, but he never shows me he's reliable. I'm always hurt by his actions. Anyway, any advice on what I should do? Some of OOP's comments. Commenter. In a comment thread, yeah. OP seems like a pretty together person. Gets up early to work out, works, cooks every night, manages the evening routine for a small child. She would probably be fine on her own without this guy creating messes and being shitty to her. OP. Thank you, pleading face. I genuinely needed to hear this. I'm trying really hard to be a good example to my girl. Commenter. When my husband did this, I put the dirty dishes on the bed and slept on the couch. He cleaned it all up. I don't think yours would do that. He'd probably put them on the floor and go to sleep. If you're not going to leave, lock up all of the dishes. And start using paper plates and disposable utensils. Only make one-pan recipes. Better yet, stop cooking for him altogether. OP. No, he would probably get aggressive with me. I could never do something like this. Loudly crying face. He gets aggressive when I do harmless pranks like put a whoopee cushion on the couch he sits on. Commenter. When you say aggressive, what do you mean? OP. Raises his voice. His face and body language gets scary and aggressive. He's threatened violence before and I was physically abused as a child, so it freaks me out. He's never outright hit me before though. What he does, and also sex. OP. He's great about laundry. He will fold his own stuff away but won't touch mine, but at least he does it. As for cleaning, he doesn't touch anything unless specifically asked. Sex life is unsatisfactory in my opinion, but I take what I can get. I've tried for past few years to spice things up, but he is content at going at it 2 or 3 times a month and each time lasts 5 minutes. Work schedules. We both work 40-hour weeks. I work in management, and he's an office worker. I do all the household jobs except putting up shelves and mowing the lawn. LOL. Commenter. After all this you are asking for advice? You know what you have to do. Get rid of that 150-pound sandbag you're carrying. Your life will 1000% improve. OP. At the time I wrote this post I felt insane guilt for even considering divorce. By the time I got reading all the replies and to writing this comment, I realized how badly I really am being treated. It's liberating and enraging at the same time. I'm start planning to leave him. Follow-up post on her own page. 14 hours later. Title. I'm realizing how horrible I'm treated after posting on relationship advice. This is just a vent post of some of the things my husband does. I guess I have brushed off for a long time. Told me he want to punch me so bad and threatened beating me up during a breakdown of his. I asked him to show me that he loves me. Said he wants a punching bag so he doesn't hit me instead. Told me if I leave him, he will kill himself. Every year on my birthday, he makes me cry and gets aggressive. His eyes are almost black. When he gets mad, it scares me. He knows it and stares at me down when I try to talk to him. I have a recording of him going off on me about how he hates me, and that he wants to push me off the bed most nights. If I start crying around him, he gets annoyed and will say things like, "Why are you crying again?" and physically restrain me during anxiety attacks because I don't want to be near him. Right after I gave birth to my daughter, he fell asleep and slept through the night. I was awake for over 24 hours before labor and couldn't sleep after because the baby was awake and I was having severe anxiety. When I tried to wake him, he glared at me and went back to sleep. This particular event has stuck with me for the past 2 years. He showed me no care or extra attention after having my baby. He stayed home for a week and didn't do anything at home. I still cooked and cleaned and took care of everything with the newborn. I fainted 3 weeks postpartum, and he got mad at me for not eating enough, but I just had no energy to make myself food. When I tried to tell him I was struggling mentally after the baby at 3 months postpartum, he turned it to a rant about how I never did laundry or make food on time, and it ended up with me saying I'll try better. This asshole, looking back, didn't apologize for his lack of effort, ever. He completely ignored my struggling mentally after the baby. I would cry every day for almost a year, and he never once tried to be caring and attentive to me during this time. I was so sleep-deprived and depressed that I couldn't pull myself out of it until I started working at about a year after. He got better at helping out at home, but he blames his lack of a proper father figure for his incompetence. Yet will blow up on me if I use the same excuse, lack of proper mother figure, when I make a mistake, constantly criticizing everything I do. I asked him a question, and it becomes a jab about something completely unrelated. Anyway, I can go on and on. I'm shaking with rage right now as I'm realizing how long I've dealt with him. OOP's commenter, did he show this behavior before you got married and had kids with him? OOP. He definitely showed some signs when I look back at our relationship. Another one I forgot to add. When I told him about when I got assaulted, he literally got up and left. Gave me the silent treatment for a week. My dumbass thought it was my fault for telling him. This was when I was 19, so we were together for a year at that point. Somehow, I kept ignoring how he would get mad so quickly, and I didn't notice when I started walking on eggshells around him. But he started the violent part this year, so I didn't see that coming at all. Update post, October 24th, 2024, 1 month later. First of all, I did not expect the post to blow up. Thank you to everyone who gave their advice. I tried to read every reply. I have been asked a lot for an update, so I'll just give what's happening now. I didn't leave him, yet at least. After that post, I had a surge of confidence, and really was planning on leaving him. Suddenly though, he woke up one morning and it was like he was a different man. I'm not exaggerating, he was drastically different. He made breakfast for me while I was working out. He helped with making lunch and kept kissing me and sent me off to work with an I love you. I thought for sure it would stop by the time he got home later, but it didn't. He went from a man who was angry every morning and angry when he came home from work, to a sweet and loving man overnight. It was weird at first, but after a full week of being shown affection to, all my plans for leaving crumbled and I was lost. He started working overtime and I started working part-time, so the issues of house chore divide ceased. Plus, he cleaned the kitchen now while I put the child down, which was the main issue. It's been 3 weeks and I feel like I'm living in a dream and I have no idea what to do. I still haven't told him that I plan to leave him. I don't know if I will or not. I can't help but feel suspicious, like there's some hidden motive to this. He even planned a date night and showed me affection after. He never does that. I keep expecting for his usual aggression to pop out of nowhere. Sometimes he still looks at me with those scary eyes, but he doesn't talk or do anything aggressive anymore. I feel unsettled by all this in a way. My mental health has been spiraling too. I just feel so lost. Today he was upset because I slept in, and it's making me feel so anxious for some reason. He wasn't aggressive or yelling, but I'm scared to piss him off, and he will go back to how he was. So that's where I'm at right now. Thank you for everyone who took the time to help me, and I'm sorry if this update wasn't what you hoped for. Some of OOP's comments. Commenter. How would you feel about talking to him about what you've noticed about his change in behavior, and asking him what's prompted it? I too would feel unsettled by a sudden and drastic change in my partner's behavior, even if it's for the better. OOP. Honestly, I'm scared that if I mention it then he will stop or get upset. Commenter. Keep making plans to protect yourself because the change may not be permanent. He may have noticed you didn't care anymore and decided to correct himself. It doesn't hurt to be protected both ways. OOP. I will, thank you. So far I do have a little bit in my personal savings. I'm grateful for that. In response to a longer comment, he's never hit me, but he's gotten aggressive with my things and threatened to be violent to me before. He gets scary when he's angry, but he's never actually hit me. I was heavily abused as a child, so maybe the trauma is affecting the way I perceive things. I don't know. He has been seeing a therapist now too, and maybe like you said that's what brought this on. Thank you for the detailed reply. I will have to talk to him tonight. Mini update in comments. November 8th, 2024, 2 weeks later. Hi, I'm doing okay. Mental health is bad, but otherwise I'm good. I have an emergency plan, but I'm staying for some reason. I'll post if I do leave. Update post 2, January 2nd, 2025, Almost 2 months later, 3.5 from OG post, title, My, 23F, husband, 25M, admitted that his younger brother yelled at him for how he treats me. My husband and I have relationship issues. I have been hesitant to leave him, mainly for the fact that we have a child together, but also I care for him a lot. He got really dark a few months ago, did and said a lot of things that hurt me, but didn't directly hit me or do anything in front of our kid. I was ready to leave him because throughout our relationship, he never really treated me that great, and I think I was just at my limit. But when I tried to leave, he broke down and begged me to stay, so I did. He changed since. He's been treating me like an equal being. He's been going to therapy for 4 months now consistently. He started opening up to me about things he didn't before. I've been noticing that overall, he seems so much warmer to others, not just me. Recently, we were driving and conversation about his little brother came up. He's 22. And I was telling him about some things that his brother told me about his girlfriend. My husband randomly admitted that his brother told him to treat me better. I was shocked because I didn't think that anyone noticed or thought of our relationship like that. I never said a word to anyone. I asked him what happened, and he seemed embarrassed and brushed it off, saying that his brother just kinda yelled at him that he doesn't treat me like a woman. The crazy thing is that my husband admitted to not treating me well to me then too. I didn't know what to say, so that was the end of the conversation. Since then, he's been bringing things up randomly, asking what I like and how I would like to be treated. My question is, how do I respond to this? Or do I just let him be to do his thing? My usual response is to just brush it off or say whatever you want, honey, but I've been growing a bit of self-confidence, so I don't want to brush it off anymore. I'm also just still shocked that someone said something to my husband, I guess. I didn't know what to think of it. Got nobody to talk to about it. Loudly crying face. Update post 3, January 11th, 2025. 9 days later. Title, My, 23F, husband, 25M, got berated by my friend about his behavior to me while I wasn't there. We had my husband's best friend and his wife over yesterday. We don't usually drink or stay up late, but they came over after we put our child down, and they had left their child within laws for the night, so it was our first time being child-free together since we had kids. My husband has been best friends to this guy since before he met me, and I've always liked his wife and have been getting pretty close to her in the past year, and we even called each other best friends now. Well, we stayed up late and had a very good time. Eventually at about 1:30 a.m., my daughter woke up, so I left and called it quits by that time. I was done drinking and was getting tired, so I laid down with my daughter and fell asleep in her room. My friend came into my daughter's room and told me she wanted to talk really quick. She admitted that she started telling him a thing or two about how she feels about him, and that he started crying. She said she apologized to him, and she apologized to me too, and said maybe she had too much to drink and shouldn't have said anything. I just shook my head and told her that maybe it was just getting late for all of us, and after a hug, they left. My husband just went straight to bed without saying anything, so I figured I would bring it up later. Today, my husband is being so grumpy. I woke up with my daughter and let him sleep in, but at about 11 a.m. I told him that I needed him to get up so we could clean and wash up before church, our usual Saturday routine for the past 3 years. I told him after we clean we can take a nap with my daughter if we're still tired. Well, it took him 30 minutes to get out of bed. When he finally got up, he just laid around and would go on his phone. I constantly kept asking him to get up because it was late. He wouldn't answer me every time, and at some point I got tired of nagging and stopped. He just laid around while I cleaned. Finally, I sat down for a little and asked him about yesterday, and he grumbled that I told my friend that he's a horrible person, so she was berating him. I was shocked and said no, I never told her anything about our relationship. She's my friend, yes, but I don't talk about my marriage problems to anyone. So I told him, and he just shrugged and said that she said something along the lines of he doesn't treat me well and that he should learn to grow up. Funny thing is, his behavior today just stands out, knowing what she said to him. In my head, I wanted to tell him off that what she said was true, but I didn't. I just told him that I'm glad my friend has my back, but I swear what she said is from her own assumptions of our relationship. He said she probably misunderstood something I said. I think it's interesting that I found out not long ago that my husband's younger brother also yelled at my husband about his behavior. Past post. It makes me feel more confident in myself about my feelings for him and our marriage. I'm tired of being the bigger person all the time. I'm already 1 foot out the door, and he doesn't even seem to try to make me stay other than cry. Edit to add, She told me a few days later that while he was crying he started talking about how I make him do everything and that I'm such a liberal. WTF does that even mean? OOP's comments. Commenter. Geez, you missed a perfect opportunity to actually tell him that her assessment is accurate. Why are you reluctant to tell him he's a crappy partner? OOP downvoted. I don't know. It's hard. I hate to make him feel bad about himself even though he doesn't hesitate to call me a bad partner. I'm also scared he will use it against me somehow. Top commenter. Girl, I was ready to lose it with this post, but then you mentioned the BIL post, and when I went to see it saw your post history including the one detailing not just mental abuse but your husband's threats of physical abuse. You need to stop posting to Reddit every other week and gather the advice from basically every post and take it to heart. I know it sucks, but this man does not love you, respect you, or even care about your well-being. This man actively hates you and then manipulates you into believing that's your fault, comparing you to your mother so you feel guilty and unlovable, while also manipulating you into doing all the domestic labor. This relationship is not salvageable and your life can only improve by you admitting that and packing your bags. That all said, leaving an abusive situation is dangerous, so please contact a domestic violence hotline to create a safe exit plan, especially given that his past threats. OP, you're right. I appreciate the time you took to read and write this. I already have an emergency plan in place. Just am struggling to find the courage to actually go ahead with it. Thank you. I really needed to hear this. Update post 4, March 12, 2025, 2 months later, 6 from OG post, title, My 23F husband, 25M, admitted that his younger brother yelled at him for how he treats me. Update, I left him. So I left him. Everyone was right about him. I'm safe, with my daughter and my little brother. It's been a few weeks since I left. Even after I posted last time, I won't lie, I still had hope for this man. What made me decide to leave was the fact that, despite him verbally abusing me, later threatening to physically abuse me, he acted like I was the one who needed to bend over and apologize to him. It wasn't that he treated me bad that was the reason I left. It was the fact that he was stomping around and acting like a child, yelling at me and my daughter and making her feel anxious. I still tried to be nice. I tried to talk to him. I asked him what's wrong, and he just gave me that look that he always does. I don't know how to explain it, but it makes me feel so small, and he doesn't break his gaze or say anything, he just stares until I have to look away. It felt like a switch in me and mentally, I was gone. That night, I put my emergency plan in place, because I already had one from a time he threatened me months ago, and a few days later I was physically gone while he was at work. I'm not going to give details because of the possibility he can see these, but I have a new job, new apartment, at a new city however and wherever I want. It's so freeing. My daughter couldn't care less and it somehow makes me happy but also deeply sad. I should have done this a month ago, 6 months ago, 1 year ago. She's just happy that she gets to go to a park more often now with her uncle. My brother confided that he's happy he doesn't have to hear him yell anymore. My family keeps calling me. My mom telling me I'm making a big mistake and I'm embarrassing myself. I'm not even going to bother explaining myself, or my side of the story. His family keeps calling me too. His mother apparently is in the hospital because of a stress-induced attack from this. My sister-in-law sent me nasty texts and called me until I blocked them. My now ex keeps calling me too. I hate it. It makes me feel sick to my stomach. My brother-in-law only sent me one text and it says good for you. I hope find a better life. It makes me feel somewhat comforted with this whole situation. I hope he's right though. So that's my update. This will be my last time posting on here. I'm probably going to delete my account actually, and plus I'm completely done with relationships and will probably never get into one again, but thank you to everyone who took time to comment and message me. I seriously feel like each one slowly built my confidence bit by bit. I know I'm a bad person for not doing it on my own, so I thank all of you sincerely for helping me. I owe everyone my new life. I wasn't going to post at first, but it feels nice to get this all off my chest. I feel like I'm going to explode with pent-up emotions lately. Edit to add, by the way guys, I lied in all my posts about my age. I'm actually 21. I'm not sure why I lied, but it's nice to be out there about it. I'm 21. OOP's comments. Commenter. I call BS on his mom's in the hospital because of the stress. If it isn't a lie, then that kind of overdramatic reaction is reason enough to GTFO. Proud of you. OOP knows she actually has been at the hospital very frequently because of stress. Her husband is the original My husband acts exactly like his father, except his father is worse. She works, does all the parenting and housework while her husband and all the kids watch TV/game. Nobody ever tries to help her, and so she ends up in the hospital from exhaustion and stress. I feel bad for her because I already know my ex probably ran back to her crying. But I also don't feel bad for her because she also left me nasty messages that I ruined him and his life. Sue answers to some questions. I don't have custody of brother, but my brother has lived with me for the past 2 years now. I have records of it too, so I'm debating to make it official soon. I was 19 when I had my daughter and was 17 when we got together. I didn't lie about his age. Commenter. Now that you're the age that he was when you all got together, could you imagine dating a 17-year-old? OP. F no loudly crying face. OP's family. Oh no, I already know that. It doesn't matter what I say, my family will never take my side, that's why I'm not even trying. I've tried to mention his behavior a long time ago, and my mom told her whole family exactly what I said. I'm working with a professional so that my mother never gets my child or brother in her hands, even if I'm out of the picture. My sister is hoping to get some work and college things figured out, and she will be here with me for the summer. At least I have her as my backup. To another commenter, I have my little sister who is 18 and she has always been on my side.